we're going to take our super glue and apply just a simple drop to re-wet the stuff we've already put in there. You still don't want it to the top. Alright, now if you look at your abalone inlay, there's a design on it, and the striation, we're going to keep them all similar, which means that all of our striations are going to run from north to south. So set this right into the face of the hole, gently. Now remember our tool, okay? Place it over top and press down. You may want to take a small hammer and lightly tap it to seat. But when you place your finger over it, it's almost flush and there's no glue spillage or anything like that, but this thing is securely seated in there, not going anywhere, and beautifully done, if I may say so myself. So look at that. That's a lot prettier than standard white pearl, if you ask me. So, guess what? We got to do it 9 more times. We've gotten all the 10 inlays put in nicely to the guitar. We've let the super glue dry. And now what we're going to do is level the inlays with the top of the fingerboard so that there's absolutely no feel, no bump, no anything to it. Okay, so the only 2 things you really need to level them are some really high quality, good American made razor blades, single edged, and then you're also going to need some cellophane tape. Okay, I've taken the, there's a single edged razor blade right there, and I've taken liberty to go ahead and prepare a couple of what I'm going to do right here, and these are my tools. Okay, you take 2 pieces of cellophane tape and wrap around each edge, leaving a 6 millimeter or so gap in between the tape pieces. Each tape piece is about 1/100 of an inch thick, which is slightly less than the hair on your head. So if you wrap 2 of them around, what you're doing is eventually protecting this sharp edge from gouging. I mean, that's a razor blade, and yet I'm not getting cut right now. The only sharp carving edge is in the middle. Alright? So what you want to do is you want to learn how to scrape using your razor blade. Okay? Now, it's not a forward cutting motion. The blade is perpendicular at this point. Tilt it back about 30 degrees. Okay? And what you're going to do is draw the razor blade back across the top of the inlay. If you'll notice, the only part that's cutting or scraping is just the part directly over the inlay. Don't go from top to bottom right yet. Start at the top of the inlay and just pull back. You're not affecting the surrounding fingerboard wood at all. All you're doing is just lowering the top of the fret inlay so that it matches within 1/100th of an inch. If you'll notice all these white shavings here, that's really just abalone shell inlay. Okay? We're getting there. It's kind of smooth on this side, a little high on this side. Use your fingers constantly as your gauge. Okay? You can feel, your sense of touch is accurate enough that you could feel if there's a little bump right there. The other thing you need to worry about is this is already worn through. Okay? The tape on this side, it tears and wears quickly. The more quality job you'll do depends on how often you end up changing the tape. So I'm just going to go ahead and retape this, and there's a fresh piece right there. We've got 2 pieces of cellophane wrapped on either side with a 6 millimeter gap in the middle. Now we're going to just start leveling. Once again, only scraping directly on top of the inlay. Once you get it really low, you can kind of start wiggling it back and forth. You can actually feel in here the razor blade top scraping against the abalone, but at least a very, very fine finish once you're through. Okay, so We haven't cut any wood at all. All we've done is just level abalone, and we are there. That's completely flat. Let's clean it up just a tiny little bit. Alright, so we've worked down the top of the inlay so that it is level, and you know that because you've taken, the razor blade with the two pieces of double tape on either side. You move it across, and if you'll notice, no material at all is being removed. Close your eyes and run your finger across it. Can't feel a thing. It's completely flush and level with the top. It's also fairly well polished, but we're going to do a little bit of extra polishing once all these inlays are gone ahead and polished and leveled up. So we're just going to move to the second inlay and start with the same process. And if you'll notice, let me just show you the contrast here. Alright, that's me just sliding or scraping the blade across the top of this inlay, and you see the abalone dust that's being produced there, okay? But when we go back to the one we just completed and do that same thing, you'll notice there's nothing at all. We have gotten this level and complete. And that's how you check, okay? So take your time, change your tape often. I mean, I'll go through probably 4 sets of tape changes per inlay, and I'm using 2 different razor blades, so that's a total of 8 different tape changes that I'm going to use to protect the fingerboard. That is the most important thing that you should do here, is not scrape any wood, okay? What we want to do is only scrape inlay, get it down level with the top of the surrounding fingerboard. Once it's level and you've tested it and there's nothing else going on, you can move to the next one. Here's a little trick to use if you're unsure if your inlay is level with the top. Okay, so you've been scraping along here and you feel like it's pretty good, okay? But you don't really want to take off anymore if you have to. Okay, so we've gotten to the point where we're really not producing a lot of shavings, but you want to make sure. So take a regular flat razor blade and lightly from fret to fret, just kind of wave it back and forth, scraping, drawing across the top. What this will do is this will smooth out the wood that the razor blade comes in contact with. But if you'll notice, we've got this little rough spot in a circular. It looks like the Saturn. This is where the wood has not been scraped because the inlay is higher than the surrounding wood areas. Okay, so that's a really neat little trick to use. Just lightly scrape back and forth with the razor blade, and you can actually find by looking at the reflection of the smooth wood from the razor blade scrapes and where it's not smooth, where the inlay's keeping the razor blade up and off of the surface slightly. So that tells me I got a little more scraping to do. Alright, what we're going to do now is take a brand new unused razor blade like this, single-edged, and this is a technique called burnishing. Okay, what we're going to do is lay the sharp edge flat onto the fretboard and draw it back to the other edge of the fret, roll it forward, pull it forward. So you're kind of rolling the blade as you move it. You're not cutting any wood, you're not removing hardly any material at all. This is just compressing and smoothing the wood surface. Once you finish with that, you can really tell a difference in how smooth and compressed and nice that is. It also helps level. Remember, the tape that we had used on the edge guards was leaving about 1/100 of an inch from the fretboard top. So this is actually removing the last 1/100 of an inch as well to give you a perfectly flush and smooth fit. Even do that on the ones that don't have inlays because it changes the color of the wood slightly and also changes the feel. So you want to make sure that from each fret position to fret position they're uniform. So we're going to go ahead and burnish the rest of the fret positions, and then we'll end up with polishing some of these abalone dots to brilliance, and we should be through. Alright, the last thing we're going to do now is polish the tops of the abalone inlays. This is a small piece of 3000 grit abrasive pad. You can get this at automobile refinishers stores and stuff like that, but it's foam back and very sturdy. But what I like to do is put a small drop Old English scratch cover, which is really going to act as a lubricant here. And then we're just going to polish the top in a circular motion while going ahead and doing as much of the rosewood surrounding it as possible. This is a really super smooth, wonderful way to finish off your fingerboards. And you can really tell the difference when you're through. So what you want to do is basically gently roll that back and forth. Do it along the grain lines and do not go over the frets with this yet. We're going to take care of polishing frets at a later time. But once you've gotten all that really nice and smoothly, uniformly polished and the Old English stain cover set in like that, you're done. And go ahead and do the ones that are inlaid as well, the plains, because you want them to match. You also want them to feel the same as well. So if you take about 5 minutes, one of these little abrasive pads, this is 3,000 grit, so this is not going to leave any scratches at all. It's just going to basically smooth the wood out even further after the razor scraping. And you wouldn't believe the difference in the way the fingerboard looks and feels. It makes a big difference. You know, when you've picked up an old guitar and it's actually got some age to it and it's been played, all this smoothing and wearing and compressing of the fingerboard wood has already been done for you, as well as the oils being absorbed. But look at the difference there. I mean, that to me is a huge difference in the way this feels and looks from the standard unprocessed fingerboard. So that's what you want to look like. And as you can see, there's a slight gloss to it, as well as the abalone inlay just seems to just jump off the surface of it. Isn't that beautiful? So we're going to go ahead and do all 22 fret locations in this same manner, and then we're done. Alright, we've got the entire fingerboard fine sanded to 3,000 grit with the dark scratch cover oil as a lubricant. We've leveled and scraped the tops of the abalone inlays, and the fingerboard is ready to go. All we need to do now is, upon the final installation and setup, is go ahead and polish these frets down. As you can see, the abalone is just sparkling right now, and it's jumping right off the top of the rosewood fingerboard. That is such a huge difference and an improvement from the dull white pearl inlay, acrylic inlays. It's not even funny. This is a very cheap and inexpensive way to make a significant upgrade and then customize your instrument. This total investment here was about $8. Alright, we're done. That wasn't too bad, was it? It was a pretty simple thing. The only things I want to leave you with are this. Be patient, work conservatively, keep checking your work continuously by measuring and feeling the inlay with your fingers. Make sure you've got a nice, flat, level surface after you're through. Okay? I mean, this is a beautiful, beautiful way to upgrade and customize your own instrument, making it a part of yourself. Last thing, and I hate to do this, but it's a shameless plug. Coming in 2 months now, I'll have my first book out on Voyager Press called How to Build Electric Guitars, the guide to building and modifying your own guitars from kits and parts. It'll be out in June, and please pick up a copy of it because it's a very unique way to approach building and customizing guitars. I'm covering relicking in this, set neck construction, finishing, hardware tweaking and customization, and also how to build a double neck out of kits. So it's a great book if you're into this kind of thing like I am. So if you get a chance, check it out on Amazon.com. You can find the book by searching my name, Will Kelly. You've been to the Hard Knocks Guitar Shop, and you've just done an abalone inlay on your own guitar. So congratulations. We'll see you around.